Hello, my name is Randy Eddy, and I'd just like to show off a project that I worked on alongside 4 other students at Memorial University of Newfoundland. I'll go ahead and start off by giving a brief introduction as to the purpose that this web application serves, followed by the demo. I'll go in and show exactly how everything works, and after that I'll talk about the technical side of things with regards to how exactly everything was done, as well as my primary role and involvement in this project. So let's go ahead and get started. The project is called CodeDrop. As you can see, I will note that it is a prototype, that it is not finished. It's not a big commercial product or anything like that. And the purpose it serves is for university students. So post-secondary institutions these days all have websites that allow students to do their assignments and submit them online, even take entire courses online, really making their education a lot more accessible and flexible for them. But there's nothing really catered towards computer science and computer engineering students specifically when it comes to doing programming assignments. That's where CodeDrop really shines. It allows you to write your code, test it, compile it, and submit it all within the one web application, within the one environment. So it's very convenient for students. They don't have to run off and figure out how to get all of that to work on their own systems, especially when they're new to something like this. That can be very daunting. I know it was for me in my first year. As well, it's very convenient for professors and instructors as well, as they all have one place to go to retrieve all of their submissions. So we'll go ahead and get into the demo here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. As you can see, this is the login screen. Where does the whole process start? Well, it starts with the administrator who creates the courses, creates the users, and adds the users to those courses. So we'll log in with the admin account here. Not the most secure login, I know, but that's okay. And you can ignore the lighter style of the admin page. We switched to the darker one after it was created and never got around to changing that. So we're with this little welcome tab here. We'll move on to the users tab where we can create users. So we'll go ahead and create one. We'll just create an arbitrary character here, Phil Plot, and we'll give him a random student ID there, and we'll make his email something simple, pp@111@1.ca. Create the user. User was successfully created, and they are all created with randomly generated passwords. Now, of course, we can change that if we search for the user we just created. We can bring up their information. Here it is here. The password is left invisible, so it's not displayed, but it will be displayed when we enter a new one, so we make sure we're entering exactly what we want. Right now, we'll just make it the word password for simplicity's sake. Edit user, and that's changes have been saved. We'll move over to the courses tab here, where we can create courses, search for courses, and add users to courses. If you leave this search field blank, it'll just bring up every course that is available. We just have a handful in our database right now. Let's go ahead and create a course. We'll just call it Programming 101. Actually, no, that's not the number because the number's below. I'll just call it Programming for now. And then course number, we'll just make an arbitrary number, 4784. And then create the course. Course has been successfully created. So we'll update our search and it'll show up in the list there. Now when we click on it, of course it is blank because there's nobody in the course we just created. If we look at another course, we'll see there are some people enrolled in that course already. Let's go ahead and add some people to the course that we just created, like the user that we just created. pp111@mun.ca was his email. And here's where the flexibility of the system really shines. You can add a user as a role. You can select their role in that course, professor, teaching assistant, or student. Since this person is the first person in the course, we'll go ahead and make him the professor. Now, it is not always the case where a person is a student in all their courses or they're a professor in all their courses. Sometimes they have different roles in different courses. It can very often be the case where somebody is a teaching assistant in one course or they're a student in all their other courses. So with this system, it is very flexible. They only need the one account and they can have all their different roles. They don't need to create a different account for each one. So we'll go ahead and add this user here, update the list here, and we see Phil Plot has been added to the programming course here. I'm going to go ahead and add a student to the course as well for a future demonstration. I believe his email was this. Add him as a student, and we'll go ahead and add that user. update the list, and we see Nick McKinnon has been added to the course as well. Now there's also this reported tab here. This was initially meant for people to report suspicious looking assignments that were submitted, either something that looks like it violates a copyright issue or some sort of hacking issue, anything bad basically. But that system hasn't fully implemented there, but that tab is still there for the time being. So we'll go ahead and sign out as the administrator. We'll sign in as our new professor account that we just created. That was pp111@mun.ca, and the password was just password. Go ahead and sign in there. And we come to the courses page, and we see there's that course we just created and just enrolled Phil in, CS4784. He is a professor in this course, so we can go ahead and open that tab. And we see, since he is a professor, we're on the assignments page, and he's able to create a new assignment since he is a professor role in this course. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll create a new assignment. We'll keep it simple and just call it Hello World. That's where everybody starts off. Submit that, and there's the new assignment we created. We can go in and edit it, and we come to where the questions would be listed. No questions yet. We'll go ahead and create one. Of course, you can have multiple questions to an assignment, but we'll keep it simple and just have one question for now. We'll make it output hello world in Java. Will be the question. So then that question has been created. We'll open the question up. Here's where we create helper files for the students to help get them started, or just fill in some filler for them that they don't have to worry about. And we'll go ahead and create one for them. New file, we'll just call it hello.java, submit. And then we'll open that file, and here's where we come to the text editor, which is where the system really shines. So here we have the text editor, of course, where you write your code. You can select your language, Java or C++, which is all we have for now. You can compile and run your code, save the file, and submit it when you're done. This is the console down here that will show the output of the program, and you can even download your file if that's something you'd be interested in. So we'll go ahead and start writing our helper file here for the students. Public class hello public static void main string, having some trouble typing there, string args. Now we don't want to do the whole assignment for the students, so we'll go ahead and just say insert your code here. Help them get started with that. So we'll go ahead and save our file and submit it so that it's deployed for the students to access, refresh for the changes. And that'll take us back to the course page here. Now we'll go ahead and log out as this professor, and we'll log in as that student that I added, Nick McKinnon at mun.ca. And just to show you that this is actually authenticating, I'll add an A here, and to show you invalid credentials. So we'll take that away, and it should work. There it is. Now this is one we've been toying with a bit, so he's enrolled in a lot of courses, but you can see that feature I was talking about here. He's a student in every course except for this one. He's a teaching assistant in that course, so he just has the one account to manage all of his roles in all of his courses. So CS4784 was the course that we created and added him as a student. We'll go in there, and there's that assignment we created, Hello World. We'll go in there, and there's the question. And there's that helper file that the professor created for him. So we'll go ahead and open that. And we see there's the code that the professor created to help the student get started. So let's go ahead and finish the assignment as Nick McKinnon here. We'll do system.out.println hello world. And semicolon, of course. We'll go ahead and compile and run that. See its output down here. Oh, we're getting an error here. Oh, probably because pring is not print. There we go. Compile and run that. Hello world. There it is there. And I know that, just to be sure, I'll show you that this is actually running all of the code. And we'll just make a random integer, n equal to 2. We'll output n times 2. Whatever you type in here, it is going to run. 2 times 2 is, of course, 4. So this is working as intended, compiling as Java, just like we want. So we'll go ahead and save that file and submit that as our assignment submission. and that refresh to see the changes. That'll take us back to the course page as well. Now, of course, the student's not going to see any changes, but the professor is going to be able to see that assignment. So we'll go ahead and log in as Phil again. Go back in through the course here, and here's the assignment. Before we went through edit, it was to edit the assignment, add questions, change any helper files, anything like that. Review is where we can actually see the submissions of the assignment. See here, Nick McKinnon. He is there, and there's his submission. Click on him to see his submission. Click on the assignment, or the question, sorry, and then we have the files associated with that question. We'll go in and check out his file here. And we see we can, of course, run it just like we always can. Outputs 4. Now, the program works just fine. There's no errors or anything, but it's not doing what the question asks. So we're just going to tell Nick here, should output hello world, not 4. And he's going to be able to see those comments, so he knows exactly where he went wrong in his assignment, and he can correct that in the future. We'll go ahead and save that and submit that, so it's out for Nick to see. We'll refresh to see the changes. And of course, we'll go back in there so we can give him a grade as well. And that's just up in the top here. We're going to go ahead and give him a 50 since he didn't quite read the question. And we can assign that grade. And we'll go back and log out as the professor and go back in as Nick. And he can see how he did on that assignment, which wasn't too great. Go back in here. Hello world. Output hello world in Java. And he got a 50 on that one. And of course he can't change that, but it is there for him to see. If he goes into the file, he can see the comment that the professor left. So he knows exactly where he went wrong, and he'll be able to correct that for the future. So that is the system in a nutshell, I believe. Teaching assistants basically have the same sort of security level as the professor, where they are able to create assignments, add questions, and things like that. Actually, I'm not sure if they can't create assignments, but they can add to the questions and helper files. That's the difference between the teaching assistant and the professor. And of course, students can't create assignments, as you already saw. So that's the demo. I'll complete there. I'll go ahead and talk about the technical side of things as well as my involvement at this point. So here on the front end, of course, was HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. All that beautiful slick design, the one-page app design, was from Google's Polymer library. And the text editor we used was implemented in JavaScript using CodeMirror, which is very handy and easy to implement. The back end was we used a Mongo Lab remote database. That's just very convenient, where we had multiple people accessing the same database, so it was just easier to use a remote one. Node.js was the server that the web application was run on. We used quite a few modules within it. Node Express was a minimalist framework that made it much easier to create a server and run it. Passport was used for authentication, making sure the usernames and passwords matched and all that. Mongoose gave the node compatibility to work with our Mongo database. Body parser parsed requests from the client so that they could process it and send back the appropriate response. Random string was just used to generate random passwords, and CompileX was the module used to actually compile the code sent to the server and give back the appropriate output. So that's the gist of the technical side of things. My primary role in the project was with the back end mostly. I did help with some debugging on the front end, but most of my heavy development for me was on the back end. I was the one that got the Passport module for authentication, making sure the username and password was in the database, as well as the body parser, parsing a lot of the small requests and sending back the appropriate responses. Random strings for generating passwords, I got that one, as well as handling all of the compiling, making sure the code did compile and return to the appropriate response. That was also my doing. So mostly I did handle the back end. I did handle also some server creation as well using Node Express. I helped out with that as well. So that was basically the gist of my involvement as well as the whole project as a whole. The whole thing took us about 3 months, about 3 weeks of which was just straight up documentation and planning. So, of course, I had a major role in that, in helping out with the use cases, sequence diagrams, state charts, test plans, all kinds of things like that. I had a lot of fun working on it. It was a great time. The team we had was a great bunch. We all had a good time working on it, and I think we did a pretty good job personally. And I hope you enjoyed this little video I have for you to show it off. And thanks for watching.